Hello everyone, today we're going to see in this video about the Russo brothers who are already working on a new project with Robert Downey Jr. when they got the call to return in Avengers, Apocalypse, and also that Gundam. Live-action movie chooses Sweet Tooth showrunner Jim Mickle as director, and about the Game of Thrones movie in early development at Warner Brothers about the teaser trailer for Season 2 of Netflix's Squid Game that shows the past repeating itself while raising the stakes for new players and also weekend box office. Venom recovers in Week 2. Has a low drop in the second weekend, so follow me and dare to face the unknown. And don't forget to always ask me questions. Welcome to Explore Fun Facts Universe. After a pretty underwhelming start at the North American box office, Sony's Venom: The Last Dance surprised everyone this weekend by posting a terrific hold. The estimated $26.1 weekend was a lot higher than we predicted. The 49% drop is unusual for a superhero film. The first Venom dropped 56% in Week 2, while the sequel plunged 65%. Even Deadpool and Wolverine, the most liked superhero movie in years, fell 54% in its second weekend, which was considered a decent hold. So what's going on here? Part of it may be that the World Series might have kept audiences away last weekend. With the US election happening on Tuesday, people might have yearned for a little escapism, allowing the film to make up for last weekend's shortfall. With a $90 million gross, it's unlikely to cross the double-century mark its predecessors did, but with very little in the way of competition next weekend, a finish north of $150 million isn't out of the question. Meanwhile, second place went to DreamWorks' The Wild Robot, which has turned out to be a sleeper hit, with a $7.55 million haul, up 11% from last weekend, contributing to a $121 million domestic total. Smile 2 was a distant third, with $6.8 million and a $52.6 million total gross. While it will fall far short of the $105 million made by the first film, it should still turn a nice profit for the studio, allowing for more sequels. Whether or not they should is something we dug into here. Focus Features has a word-of-mouth hit with Conclave, which fell a modest 20% in Week 2 for a $5.3 million weekend and a total north of $14 million. With it likely to do well during award season, there's a good chance Word of Mouth will prop this up for a solid run. Although if it drops too early on PVOD, it might shoot long-term box office prospects in the foot a bit. The Robert Zemeckis movie here wound up doing awful business this weekend, with a $5 million weekend. The cinema score is B-, proving audiences aren't enjoying this Tom Hanks/Robin Wright team with their Forrest Gump director. The 24 got themselves a nice word-of-mouth hit with We Live in Time, which fell a modest 28% this weekend, with a $3.47 weekend and a gross north of $17 million. It may well make it to $30 million if couples keep turning out to see this on date night. Meanwhile, possibly the year's most profitable movie, Terrifier 3, earned $3.2 million towards a $50 million total gross. Two Bollywood movies took up 8th and 9th place, with Bol Bolaya 3 and Sing Ham Again both making over $2 million apiece. Finally, Beetlejuice rounded out the top 10, with a $2.08 million weekend and a $292 million gross. Interestingly, Deadline reports that Clint Eastwood's Juror No. 2, despite being dumped by Warner Brothers, is far exceeding expectations, with an estimated $275,000 weekend on only 30 screens. If true, that would give it one of the highest per-screen averages on the chart this weekend. Considering his amazing track record, the studio should have shown a little more faith in Noel Clint. Next weekend should allow Venom: The Last Dance to eke out another victory, with the 24's Heretic the only competition. Deadline reports that Sweet Tooth showrunner Jim Mickle has been tapped to write and direct the live-action adaptation of Gundam, which is being co-developed by Legendary and Bandai Namco Filmworks. Created by Yoshiyuki Tomino and Sunrise, Gundam has been described as a space opera depicting a battle waged between massive mechs and armies of space colonies fighting for independence from Earth. The Gundam franchise has grown into a juggernaut over the decades, with dozens of TV shows, video games, manga, and much more. Now, you may recall that this isn't the first time Hollywood has attempted to get a live-action Gundam movie off the ground. It was announced in 2021 that Jordan Vogt-Roberts, Kong Skull Island, was working on a Gundam movie for Netflix, and he seemed quite pumped about the project. Some concept art was even released showcasing one of the giant mechs, but Deadline's report states that Vogt-Roberts and Netflix are no longer involved in the project. In addition to Sweet Tooth, Mickle is also known for Stake Land, a post-apocalyptic vampire movie which has become a cult favorite. Mickle also helmed We Are What We Are, Cold in July and In the Shadow of the Moon. He also developed the Hap and Leonard TV series, which was sadly canceled after 3 seasons. Sweet Tooth came to an end this summer after 3 seasons on Netflix. Based on the comic series created by Jeff Lemire, Sweet Tooth follows a lovable boy who's part human and part deer who searches for family and home with a gruff protector on an epic adventure across a post-apocalyptic world. Our own Steve Say was a big fan of the final season. Sweet Tooth series creator Jim Mickle had mountains to climb while adapting Jeff Lemire's bizarre fairy tale for live action. As a diehard fan of the source material, I would have been among the first to call the Netflix show out for misrepresentation or failed messaging, Say wrote in his review. Thankfully, Netflix's Sweet Tooth honors the original story and puts some more meat on the bone. Don't let the adorable hybrids fool you. Sweet Tooth is a brutal bit of fiction with valuable lessons to teach us all. I never could have imagined this level of care and quality going into a live-action adaptation of Sweet Tooth, and here I stand, gobsmacked and tipping my hat. What do you think of Jim Mickle taking over as director of the live-action Gundam movie? Could a Game of Thrones movie be in our future? THR has heard that Warner Bros. Is quietly developing at least one film set in George R.R. Martin's epic fantasy universe. The project is still in the very early stages, with no director, writer, or cast attached. So we may still be a ways off from seeing Westeros on the big screen, provided it doesn't get shelved like so many other Game of Thrones projects. When Game of Thrones was still in the midst of its run, there were rumors that creators David Benioff and Dan Weiss wanted to end the series with 3 theatrical movies. The pair confirmed the plan earlier this year but said HBO executives shot it down, reminding them that they worked for home box office and not away box office. George R.R. Martin also once spoke about a possible Game of Thrones movie, or movies, as the show was entering its 4th season. It all depends on how long the main series runs, he said. Do we run for 7 years? Do we run for 8? Do we run for 10? The books get bigger and bigger in scope. It might need a feature to tie things up, something with a feature budget, like $100 million for 2 hours. Those dragons get real big, you know. The 2nd season of House of the Dragon, the first Game of Thrones spin-off series, debuted this summer, and a 3rd season is on the way. Another spin-off, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, is set to debut on HBO in 2025. There have been a number of Game of Thrones projects which have been scrapped, including a Jon Snow series which Kit Harington has said is now on the shelf. Currently, it's off the table because we all couldn't find the right story to tell that we were all excited about enough, Harington said. So we decided to lay down tools with it for the time being. There may be a time in the future where we return to it, but at the moment, no. It's firmly on the shelf. Would you be down for a Game of Thrones movie? The audience at San Diego Comic-Con got a huge surprise when not only was it revealed that Joe and Anthony Russo would direct Avengers, Doomsday, and Avengers Secret Wars, but that Robert Downey Jr. will be playing Dr. Doom. However, the Russo brothers told GamesRadar Plus that they had already been working on another project with Downey Jr. before they got the call. We're all very close, Joe Russo said. We had been working on another project before Marvel approached all of us, so we're working on another project with Robert, and there was a story that evolved through conversations that we got very excited about. Because it's always got to be the story. It's unclear what this secret project was, but perhaps they'll return to it once they wrap up Avengers, Doomsday, and Avengers Secret Wars. As for Avengers Doomsday, all Joe Russo would say is that we can expect something really explosive with a movie. Why would we come back if we didn't feel like we had a story that had that possibility of being on an equal footing with Infinity War and Endgame, unless there's a kernel there for an idea that's really explosive? Downey Jr. has previously explained that the Dr. Doom train started rolling about a year ago when Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige sat down with the actor and his wife and producing partner Susan Downey. Probably a year ago, because Feige and I have kept in touch, Downey said. We're pals. Favreau and Feige and I have kept in touch. I'm close with the Russo brothers. We have other business we're doing. So there's this little group of fellow travelers, and I had this instinct that I wanted to go to Bob Iger. And I had an idea outside of the cinematic universe for how it could be of service to what's going on in the parks and all their location-based energy. And Susan and I were sitting down with Feige at one point, and he said, it just keeps occurring to me that if you were to come back, and Susan was like, wait, come back as what? Downey continued, and then we both realized, over time, that it was another thing that just disproves any doubt anyone could ever have about that guy. He's a very sophisticated, creative thinker about how can we not go backwards? How can we not disappoint expectations? How can we continue to beat expectations? And he brought up Victor Von Doom, and I looked into the character, and I was like, wow. And later on, he goes, let's get Victor Von Doom, right? Let's get that, right? Avengers Doomsday is slated for a May 1st, 2026 release, followed by Avengers Secret Wars on May 7, 2027. Today's Squid Game Season 2 teaser confirms that one benevolent force controls the competition, the mysterious front man, played by Lee Byung-hun. His actual motivations remain a mystery. Still, he isn't afraid to kill with abandon as contestants fight for survival and a chance to emerge victorious with an oversized piggy bank filled with cash. Squid Game Season 2 presents a wrinkle to the original formula. Part of the new rules involve contestants voting on whether to continue the game at their peril or walk away with the prize split among them. We know how dangerous the Squid Games are, but do you expect everyone to walk away with a fraction of what they could win? In this economy, here's the official synopsis for Squid Game Season 2 courtesy of Netflix. 3 years after winning Squid Game, player 456 gave up going to the States and comes back with a new resolution in his mind. Read the official Season 2 synopsis. Ji-hun once again dives into the mysterious survival game, starting another life or death game with new participants gathered to win the prize of 45.6 billion won. It's confirmed that some familiar faces will return to the Squid Game cast, including Lee Young-jae, Lee Byung-hun, Wai Ha-jun, and Gong Yoo. Impeccable newcomers Yim Si-won, Kang Han-ol, Park Young, Lee Ji-UK, Park Sung-hoon, Yang Dong-gun, Kang Ae-sim, Lee David, Choi Sung-hyun, Ro Jae-won, Jo Yuri, and Won Ji-in will all appear in Squid Game Season 2 as an ensemble of colorful new characters. What do you think about the Squid Game Season 2 teaser trailer? Would you participate in the deadly game? How long do you think you would survive? Let us know in the comments section below. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked it, share it with friends and family, subscribe to the channel, like it, and click on the bell, and watch the latest videos on the channel. Until next time, may God be with you.